Hi guys and welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, my name is Emma or Emily, and today I'm going to be doing my April wrap-up. This is different than usual because all of my books are out of their shelves because I'm going to be moving upstairs. I'm sorry if it's a little echoey too, some of the furniture has been moved around, so the acoustics are different. This month I read 13 books, which is a lot for me. I mean, I hope this continues next month, but yeah, so let's just start talking about the books. The first book is Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman. This book is, like, I don't know how to describe it. There are knots and there are crosses, and the knots are the lower class and the crosses are the upper class. It was interesting, but I also just wasn't interested. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. It also markets itself as a thriller, and it was not thrilling at all. I guessed most of what was going to happen, and like sometimes I do that, but that's not really a normal thing for me. I don't know. I didn't love it. I give it 2 stars. I just did not find it very entertaining or very thrilling or anything like that. And I couldn't relate to the characters that well. I thought that a lot of them just didn't seem real. I haven't given up on thriller though, but this one just wasn't for me. The next book is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling, and this is my second reread. I've only read the series once before, but I absolutely loved it again. I think this is one of my favorite movies. I find that I kind of like the movies where Voldemort isn't like the main bad guy. Even though like I love Voldemort as a villain, I think it was like just those two. It's just interesting because it isn't the usual. So yeah, this was just a reread for me and I really enjoyed it. Spoilers if you haven't watched the movie or if you haven't read the books. When Sirius is telling Harry that he can go and live with him, it's like super sweet, and then you're like, oh, that's not gonna work out. But in the book, I just feel like it's like dragged on for a little bit longer, not in a bad way, but in just like a heart-wrenching way where you're like, that doesn't work out for you, man, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I liked it, you know. The next book I read was Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I finally got to this book. I have been wanting to read it forever and I just didn't. I tried a few times but never got there. But I finally read it and I loved it. I gave it 4 stars, thought it was really interesting, and I am so happy because Wylan is my favorite character and he got a point of view in this book, which makes me just so happy. And also, I feel like, I don't know if it's talked about that much because I also have been avoiding anything talking about this book for a while because I haven't read it yet. I mean, I have now, but I hadn't. But like, Kuei is hilarious. He's just such a funny character, and like if you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about when I say that like the like mini drama between he and Jasper and Wyland was just hilarious. I loved it. I thought it was great. It was kind of sad. Wyland's story is so sad. I love Wyland. The next book I read was Myths and Legends by Scholastic. This is just a culmination of different myth stories. They're all very short stories, and some of them are like play style, some of them are poems. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I like reading about Greek mythology. It's just this was very like educational, more like base layer, I think. And so it was kind of a drag because I already knew a lot of the stories, and so it was just kind of rereading them, but like not in a fun way. I don't know. It wasn't like my favorite reading experience, but I did read some new stories, which was nice. Yeah, I didn't rate this one because I didn't. The next book is The Girls by Emma Cline. This is a thriller cult book, and it follows a 14-year-old and then later on in her like 30s, I think. I gave it 3 stars. I really liked it, but I also did not like a lot of it. It was just kind of hit and miss with me. Yeah, I just like, there was a lot I liked about it, but there was just some stuff that it just wasn't with me. One thing that did really, really bother me is that she uses the word banal so many times. I don't know, like, what was going on there, and which is just so ironic. Cause like banal, you know, just, you know, I just really got annoyed with it by the end. But yeah, I really enjoyed the beginning, and then near the end, not just because of banal, but near the end I just wasn't quite as interested in it. Yeah, so I gave it 3 stars. I did enjoy it, but just not as much as I could have. The next book I read, and a new favorite of mine, is Beautiful Boy by David Sheff. I loved this book. I marked down a lot of pages. And it's so sweet and so sad, and I love it very much, and I'm hoping to make a separate book review on this. The only problem with that is I have to learn how to articulate my thoughts better, and I'm not great at that sometimes. So we'll see if I get to that. This is a story about a dad's journey through his son's addiction, and it's very sad but also very heartwarming, and it's also very educational. There's a lot of information here about drugs and about rehabilitation and addiction and stuff like that, and so it was also just educating, I guess, to read this, but it was still a memoir. It was still someone's story. It wasn't dry in any way. There were tears. The next book, and another favorite, is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I gave this book 5 stars, and I have some tabs, you know. I really like this book. It was just very comforting in a way, I guess. I don't know, it just made me really happy to read. I mean, it was kind of sad at some points, but you know, I think there was also a lot of good representation in it. Our main character is half Ethiopian, half English, and there's a lot of different sexual orientation representation, which was nice to see because it was just very natural and very easy. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like the author, Alice Oseman, was like forcing these characters in there just for the sake of having them in there. It was like life where people are different, you know? Yeah, so I really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars. I love it very much, and I think it's a great book for anyone who's going through a sort of transition in life, as far as like high school to college, college to grad school, or like high school to a job, or college to a job, or anything like that. Just any turning point, I guess, or even if you're already in a school system or out of one. I think it's just a nice book, and it's very comforting, and yeah, I don't know how to explain it that well, but I think it's really good. Next we have Criminal by Ed Brubaker. This is Coward. There are other ones, you know? Yeah, so this is a crime comic, and it follows a heist. I think it's really good. I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't entirely my cup of tea, but I did enjoy it, and I thought it was good overall. I also really liked the color palette sort of thing, you know? I thought it was very, like, a lot of the pages seemed to match color-wise. I don't know, it was cohesive. Yeah, so I think if you're into like crime stuff, like I love watching Criminal Minds, and so I did like this, but it's also different. Like, crime stuff is interesting, but it just wasn't like entirely what I go for. It's also rated M for mature, so keep that in mind. The next one is The Second Home by Christina Clancy, and this book comes out on June 2nd, and I really liked this book. I thought it was well written and very interesting. I liked the family and the drama that sort of ensued there. If you liked We Were Liars, I think you might enjoy this. This is a more adult version. Even though you do follow the characters when they're like 15, 16 years old, you also follow them in their 30s, whereas We Were Liars is more young adult. Yeah, and I think this also just follows a bit like some more adult themes. It follows a family on their summer trip to Cape Cod, which they go to every year. They have a house there that's been passed down through the family, and it just kind of talks about the drama that has ensued for a couple years, and then it also goes to them being in their 30s and what's going on then and how the drama has affected them then. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting story about like family and stuff like that, and it felt really real, and I really liked it, and I give it 4 stars. Next we have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I really enjoyed this book, actually. Not that I was like totally expecting to hate it, but I wasn't expecting it to like it as much as I did. I mean, well, not that I wasn't expecting to. It's just the first part was kind of meh for me. Part 2 was a bit funnier, a bit more interesting, and part 3 was hilarious. I thought part 3 was the best part in all of this, although I did like a lot of what happened in parts 1 and 2, and it was like it built a lot of the world and stuff like that, but part 3 was just really funny. So yeah, I am excited that I enjoyed this, and I want to read more of Jane Austen's novels in the future, and I gave this 4 stars. Next we have Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. I loved this book. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I gave it 4 stars. Not that I was expecting to hate it, but when I read City of Bones, it wasn't my favorite. And so I just didn't know if I was expecting to like this as well, but I freaking loved it. I have the next 2 books in the series on the way because I need them. And it also has inspired me to read The Mortal Instruments, because I haven't read that before. Like I said, I've read City of Bones, but I haven't read the rest of them. And it just, I don't know, it just like made me excited to be in this world. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I thought it was hilarious. All of the witty banter and stuff like that, the sarcasm, the sassiness, it was great. Also, Jem is a gem. I love him. I love him so much. He's great. He's amazing. Yeah. Next is The Guinevere Deception by Kiersten White. I really enjoyed this book. I started to mark it, and I was only marking things that like made me laugh out loud, or I thought were really funny, or I just thought were like really well written. But a lot of the times I didn't have my tabs with me, and so like there aren't nearly as many tabs in here as there should be. But yeah, I did really like it. I thought it was really funny and really interesting. I just thought it was good. So I really like this book. I give it 4.5 stars because I like really wanted to give it 5 stars, but there was something that was just kind of like keeping me from doing that. I don't know, like internally. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was, but it was just something, and so I just went with my gut on that one. There are a couple other books that I gave 4 stars that maybe I could give like 4.5 stars if I thought about it again, but I forgot that that was a thing that I could do until I was reading this book. So yeah, I mean, you can't do it on Goodreads, but you can do it in your head, so yeah. And I'm really excited for the second book to come out in November. And the last book that I read this month is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This is a reread for me. I have no idea which reread this is. I have read this book so many times. Like, I've read it, I've listened to it, I've done it all. And I love this so much. It's one of my favorite books, and it always makes me so happy, and so I was really happy to read it. It was just kind of like a quick comfort read, because I had read 12 books, and I only had like a few days left in this past month, and so I was like, you know, we're gonna go with a reread because I want to. And I also realized I have never annotated it, which maybe the next time I read it, I'm probably gonna read it again around Christmas time because that is my favorite time to read this book. But maybe next time I read it, I will annotate it a little bit, just because there's so much that I would love to just look back on. Yeah, it's so good. So those are all of the books that I read this month. It's kind of crazy that I read 13 books because in January, February, and March combined, I read 11 books, which is just, I don't understand how I did this, but I'm happy about it. So let's not worry about it too much. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and if you did, please give this video a like. And if you want to see more videos from me, you can subscribe and see more videos from me. Hopefully the next time I see you guys, I will be up in my room upstairs. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.